In Matthew chapter 5, which it says, blessed are the peacemakers, it goes on a little bit further and it says this about peace. It says, you've heard that our ancestors were told you must not murder. If you commit murder, you're subject to judgment. And that makes sense to us. If you commit murder, you're subject to judgment. Makes sense? That's what happens. But I say, and this is the key, the J-rated life, Jesus says, but I say, there's more to this. But I say, if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. It's not just about murder. Even if you're angry, you're subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, has anybody done that? You are in danger of being brought before the court. So we don't think that we go to court, we go down to Penrith Court because we called someone an idiot. We think we go to Penrith Court because we murdered someone or malicious. But he's saying, but Jesus says, but I say it's going to be a bit different. And he goes, you're in danger of being brought before the court. And if you curse someone, you're in danger of the fires of hell. So Jesus is going, you've heard it said in the Old Testament, peace was about don't murder, but I want to say there's more to it. Now, for the next few weeks, the next 5 weeks, it's going to sound like this. Check this out. Jesus is going to go into 6 different ways on his sermon, and he's going to do this thing. You have heard that our ancestors were told you must not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, check this out. Here we go. The next one will be, you have heard the command that says you must not commit adultery. Now Jesus says, but I say, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Stay tuned. That'll happen in the weeks to come. Then he goes on and says, you've heard the law that says a man can divorce his wife by merely giving her a certificate of written notice of divorce. That's actually what happens in our world. Here's the notice there. But Jesus says, but I say, I'm not going to tell you what that is either. It's interesting. It's all in the Bible, by the way. Matthew 5, if you want to jump in early. He says this. He says, you've also heard that our ancestors were told you must not break your vows. In other words, lie. You must carry out the vows you make to the Lord. But Jesus goes, but I say. So he's going to take these things even deeper. Goes a bit further. He says, you've heard the law that says the punishment must match the injury. Or you've heard the phrase, punishment matches the crime. Jesus going, yep, okay, that's written in the Old Testament, and our society bases itself on this stuff. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say, I'm not going to tell you what he says, but Matthew chapter 5, he actually says, I'm going to reinterpret this. It says, you have heard the law that says love your neighbour and hate your enemy. But I say, what do you reckon Jesus is going to say about that one? Love your enemy. All right. We're talking about the J-rated life. See, there's a law, there's a system that made Israel function properly, and there's a system that even tries to make our world function properly. But Jesus is going, if we go past the system into the J-rated life, we will set a culture which will change everything. So I go back to this. You have heard that our ancestors were told, you must not murder. If you commit murder, you are subject to judgment. But I say, this is where I said this is the peace stuff, but I say, even if you're angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. If you call someone an idiot, you're in danger of being brought before the court. And if you curse someone, you're in danger of the fires of hell. That's intense. You see, the J-rated life, I've written it up here. The J-rated life is not about the show. It's about the heart. It's about the inner life lining up with the outer life. We don't not commit murder because we might get caught or we might pay a big price. We don't commit murder because it's not the nature of Jesus. Is that making sense? So much of our world is geared around, I won't do that because I don't want the consequences. And that's fine. Culture running that way is good. But Jesus is saying, I want us not to do these things like murder because it's a wonderful expression of Jesus inside us. So when Scott put this logo together, he deliberately wrote J, unrestricted. If someone murders, it's MA15 stuff. and it's got the word restricted. The MA15 actually has the word restricted on it. MA15 plus restricted. And what that's saying is, it's actually saying these big things, we need to get big laws which restrict people from actually doing these bad things, the murder and violence. And what Jesus is saying, what I would like to do is something a little different. I would like to get us so consumed by me. Jesus says these words, it's no longer I that live, but Christ that lives in me. I'd like you to be so consumed by me that you live this unrestricted life, that you're not even thinking about murder. You're actually not even thinking about anger. You're actually letting me dominate your life so much that those things are so far away from the outworking of your life. That's pretty cool, isn't it? And I worry sometimes that our church or Christianity is seen as almost a new set of laws, maybe a little bit better than the general laws that make us live well. No, that's not what it's about. It's actually about a manifestation of Christ through us. It's our outer life being a wonderful expression of an inner transformed life. I'll go back to the one that says, it's been said, do not commit adultery. But I say, it's actually Jesus saying, live a life of faithfulness. I like that one, that'll be talked about in the weeks to come. But so often people don't commit adultery for one reason. They don't want to get caught or pay the consequences. That's not love, is it? What Jesus would say is because it's not based in fear, it's based in this freedom of love for one another, and that's what Jesus is trying to build in us. Jesus said Scott talked about this last week. He's talked about righteousness. He's talked about our elevated righteousness in Christ. He said the righteousness expected of God's followers, of those living the J-rated life, is not only avoiding murder and all those other things, but eliminating anger and rage and revenge and bitterness and injustice from all our relationships. That's the J-rated life. Jesus says, yeah, don't murder, but let's get rid of all that stuff. Anger, rage, revenge, bitterness, injustice from all our relationships. Right, ready? I've just done a short message. That's about all you're going to hear from me today.